Well, welcome to the very latest Easy Odds videocast for the Premier League, which is hotting up big time as well. I am joined by the editor of easyodds.com. His name's Simon Hopper. He's in pretty good form at the moment, but he's not in as good a form as the man on the far side of the room from me, Tom the Powell, who's gone into overdrive since he came back from his shenanigans in South Africa, with 3 from 4 last week. So don't forget, of course, what we're going to do is we shall have a betting preview of every one of the televised matches in the Premier League, but don't go away thereafter because we'll have our best bets from our 2 pundits at the end of the videocast. Gentlemen, you're warmly welcome. Let's start a match between Newcastle and Southampton as 10th take on 3rd in the Premier League, as Southampton pummeled Newcastle at St Mary's recently and this year as well, but it's been a different story at St James's Park. Saints have lost 5 of the last 6 there, with an aggregate score of 14-6. Hops.
Yeah, it's a long way to travel from Southampton, isn't it? So
Yes,
that's based on Tom's geographical tips. I think this would be a Newcastle win, wouldn't it? But yeah, obviously you can understand why Southampton are favourites to win the match pool at 13-10. They're obviously in great form, winning at Man United last weekend and then comfortably beating Ipswich in the FA Cup in midweek. To be honest, this is the sort of game where I naturally lean towards the underdog. I don't think Newcastle are a terrible price at 5-2. I was looking for 14-5 though, sort of just under 3-1. So I don't think Newcastle are quite backable. I don't think it's a terrible price, but it's not enough to advise a bet. The bet for me here, Paul, is taking advantage of Southampton's amazing defence.
Okay.
And that's going with both teams not to score,
Ooh.
which is now one firm offering 26-25. A nice odds against price, which I think is worth taking. I mean, due to Southampton's mean defence, this bet would have landed in 6 of their 8 away league games this season. Okay. They obviously have the best defence in the league and the best away defence in the league. They've only shipped 8 goals in 10 away league games, which is obviously absolutely fantastic. If you watched them last night, you'd know why. They're just so organised. Font just seems like a different player this season. He's been absolutely brilliant. But they don't score many on the road either. They've only scored more than once in their last 8 on the road. So it's easy to see why this bet would come in a lot with Southampton. As for Newcastle, admittedly, they have seen goals recently at St James's Park. Yeah. They beat your team Everton 3-2.
They did.
Drew 3-3 with Burnley. However, those are the 2nd and 3rd worst defences in the Premier League. I think coming up against the best defence in the Premier League will be a completely different kettle of fish for Newcastle. We're obviously not in the best state at the moment. I don't think they've got that many goals in them against better teams. So I'm quite happy to back both teams not to score. I think 26-25 is a nice price.
I was trying to make up some kind of a joke about Font, but it wasn't coming my way. I tried to link it to Ariel, but forget about that in the Disney films. Tom, Newcastle versus Southampton. Actually, when I first looked at this, and I was going to ask you an extra question, but I'll ask you both together. The recent injuries Southampton have had in the last sort of couple of games, how much is that going to have a bearing on this match?
Well, I'll quickly answer that. I don't think it seems to have that much of an effect on Southampton. They just seem to be able to reel out these academy players and keep going. People like James Ward-Prowse and Harrison Reed have come in and target the fullback. They've done really well. So I know obviously Wanyama as well has gone down, which is another blow, but I don't see it affecting the results too much.
Tom?
I do. I think that at a point, you can't have too many of your first team players out, and it is a long list of players that are missing for them now. So that's why I think that Southampton are probably a little bit too short for this game. I can understand them being favourites, as Simon said. They're in fantastic form. Winning at Ipswich isn't easy, really, with a weakened side. Obviously, one at Old Trafford, one on New Year's Day against Arsenal as well. So they're playing pretty well, but 13-10, 23-20 in places as well is a little bit too short. I can remember a good few occasions where they've slipped up away from home so far this season. I remember them drawing 1-1 at Villa Park when they were 4-5 to win the game or something. Lost at Burnley as well, 1-0. So they're by no means unbeatable away from home. So that's why I quite fancy Newcastle in this one. I probably wouldn't back them outright just to win the match at 5-2.
Okay.
Like Simon said, probably want a little bit better on there. But you can get Newcastle plus a quarter at 27-25 to explain. If it's a draw, you get half stakes profit. If Newcastle win, obviously it's a full stakes profit as well. So you kind of got the draw on your side a little bit in terms of if it's a draw, you get some kind of profit out of the match. They've won just 4 of 12, going a little bit further back as well, which isn't fantastic. Obviously, mid-December they had an awful run of fixtures. Well, I think they lost something like 5 in a row, so they're doing pretty poor there. They've got major injury concerns, as you mentioned. Mane's at the African Cup of Nations. didn't want to have to say his name, but Alderweireld is out as well. He got injured last weekend, so that's a centre back that they're missing there. Wanyama, as you mentioned, Schneiderlin out as well. So that's their 2 centre midfielders missing for this game, and I don't know who's going to come in. Maybe Jack Cork and Stephen Davis, which isn't absolutely fantastic. They're fine, but it's not fantastic midfield. And then looking at Newcastle, their home form this season is absolutely fine. They lost on the opening day of the season at home to Man City. Since then, they've only lost once at home in all competitions. That was a last-minute loss to Sunderland, which probably hurt them quite a lot. So just 2 defeats in 10 at St James's Park is not bad at all. And so I'd just be backing them not to lose this game. You can get them at Newcastle +0 +0.5 on the Asian handicap, 27 to 25.
If you've never played the Asian handicap, look it up on your computer on the internet for the sort of the reasoning of it, and it's quite interesting here that the 2 pundits have gone odds against 26 to 25, 27 to 25. We've got 3 more games to come on this Premier League video cast. If you're a big fan of the lower leagues, Championship, League 1, League 2, covered in the Football League editorial on easyodds.com. Ross Mad Dog Case is in scintillating form at the moment. Must be something to do with his FA Cup run of his team, Bristol City. By the way, he'll be on the Lounge video cast as well, talking about everything from league football to, well, anything reality basically, which he's got a tremendous record in the last couple of years with easyodds.com. Let's go to Upton Park for West Ham United versus Hull City. This sees 7th taking on 18th, and Hull City are taking the profile of Aston Villa here, Tom, and they've got more points away from home than they have up on Humberside.
Yeah, but I think they've scored a lot more goals than Aston Villa.
Well, everybody has, haven't they? So
yeah.
For granted.
Yeah, thanks for that. But yeah, 8-11 probably about right on West Ham. I think a lot of people will be jumping all over that because bottom line is they are a lot better than Hull, and Hull have got major injury concerns going into the match. But for me, I'd leave the match betting alone. I actually think over 2.5 goals looks a decent price. I think a lot of people would just look at this and assume it's going to be absolutely dire straight away because it's West Ham v Hull. Not sure why it's on telly. That actually means that both these fixtures this season have been on telly. The reverse fixture was actually pretty good. It was 2-2. It was like West Ham scored 2. It was superb goals. That Valencia goal was brilliant. Diame scored a really good goal as well. So hopefully this one will be the same. West Ham are in pretty good goal scoring form at the moment. They did 10 in 6 of the last 10 in the last 6 home matches. But they don't keep many clean sheets actually. 4 of the last 5 visiting sides have netted at Upton Park, which means that both teams to score, which is 21 to 20 for this match, which isn't a bad price, has landed in the last 5 matches at Upton Park. For Hull, they're struggling with strikers. It's quite hard to make much of a case for them. No Jelic or Abel Hernandez for this game. They limped off against West Brom last weekend. But they've gone over six times on the road this season, and then they drew 2-2 at the Emirates not too long ago, and they went over at Old Trafford as well, albeit that's because Man United scored 3 goals in the game. But I think there's a chance that they'll score in this game because West Ham just don't keep many clean sheets. So, I'm thinking 2-1 West Ham or 3-1 or something like that. But I think over 2.5 goals should probably be a little bit shorter than it is.
Here's a question for you, gents. If this was Liverpool against Hull, what price would Liverpool be? 2 to 5? 4 to 9?
Yeah, good question actually. I'd probably be thinking a bit shorter than 1 to 2. Yeah, something like 4 to 9.
And West Ham are 8 to 11. Andy Carroll's in great form at the moment. The midfield's playing superbly. Maybe no Winston Reid, but why are they 8 to 11?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I actually think it's a bit short on West Ham, Paul, if I'm totally honest. I had them as just a shade of odds on, around 47 to 50, 10 to 11, yeah. Okay. I think I always prefer to look at the long-term stats as well as the medium and short-term. And West Ham, traditionally are not a top 6 home side. Obviously, they're doing very well at the moment. I would expect them to regress to mean at some point. I don't expect them to be getting these sorts of results all through the season. I also don't think Hull are quite as bad as they recent results are suggesting at the moment. So I'd actually steer away from the match betting, Paul. But I agree with Tom that there might be a surprising amount of goals. I agree, I don't understand why it's on Sky. I really don't understand why it's on Sky, especially considering Swansea against Chelsea is a 3 o'clock game. I think I go a different way though. Both teams to score. I really like that at 21 to 20. I think it should be odds on, to be honest. West Ham's defence is going to pot at the moment. Just 1 clean sheet in the last 8 Premier League games. Probably because Big Sam is playing this more offensive brand of football. He likes having 2 up front with the playmaker Stuart Downing in behind, making chances. They've obviously scored in 9 of their last 10 home league games, so they should find the net. Only Villa have kept them out this season, I think, actually, at Upton Park. Obviously, with Andy Carroll in good form, you'd expect them to net at least once. Yeah. The real issue for this bet is, are Hull going to score? But I think they can. I know they've got injuries, but on their day away from home, they can cause problems for most teams. They won 3-1 at Sunderland on Boxing Day, which is not so long ago. Drew 1-1 at Everton. They've drawn 2-2 at Newcastle and at Arsenal. And Steve Bruce does have a couple of options. I mean, Sonny Aluko, I know he's not the world's greatest player, but I think he's an okay forward. And Tom Ince, I mean, he's got to do something at some point, hasn't he? This is a guy that's a lot of clubs have been interested in him. A lot of money's been spent on him. This could be a good chance for him to come in and do something. He's obviously talented. So, I mean, admittedly, that's clutching at straws a little bit, wanting Tom Ince to do something. Sure. But he's a good player. And Hull have scored in over half of their away league games this season and have only kept one away clean sheet in the league. So I think both teams to score looks quite logical here, actually. 21-20 looks a nice price. 2
21-20s. And still we're yet to have an odds-on tip from these two boys. Simon BFM Hopper with us all the way through the video cast here at easyodds.com, which we do every single week. If you're listening to us or watching us for the first time, you're warmly welcome. And don't forget, of course, we have 2 other weekly video casts as well. We have PJ and Dunkley, where we talk about horse racing and the upcoming week, and we reflect on performances of horses from the past. And also, of course, the Lounge video cast, where we go right across the spectrum of betting opportunities from football to American football, NFL, and reality TV as well. Let's go to the Etihad for the big game of the weekend. It's Manchester City against Arsenal. It's 2nd versus 5th. Oh, but Arsenal, lamentable, away from home against whatever is the big 4 or the big 5 or the big 6 at the time. Can they snap that sort of streak, Simon, do you think?
I think the match betting's about right, Paul. It looks unlikely, doesn't it? I think Man City are solid 4 to 5 favourites. I think that looks the right price. I mean, they're just very, very good at home. They're always very good at home. 24 home wins from 29 under Pellegrini at home in the league. I mean, Arsenal are good away from home. They've won half of their away league games since the start of last season, which is pretty decent.
Yeah, but they're just bully boys against the lesser teams.
No, you're right. They have a much better record against the bottom half teams. There's nothing to suggest that they're gonna go against the grain here and win at a big club. I think 37 to 10 is about the right price. I wouldn't be getting involved. I think that's about right. To be honest, I struggle for a bet here, Paul. I think goals look on the agenda. I think it's pretty obvious that goals should be on the agenda, but over 2.5 is 8 to 13. Both teams to score is 3 to 5. Far too short for me to be a player. So I've gone with an anytime angle here, which I don't normally do. But I do quite like the look of David Silva to score anytime. He's currently best price 2 to 1. I think there's an argument he should be a little bit shorter than that. There's a couple of reasons for this. Okay. The first one, I'll go into Arsenal's defensive issues because City should score a few goals here. At top half clubs, they played 5 top half clubs on the road this season, haven't kept a clean sheet. In fact, I looked further back, Paul, and in their last 23 away league games at top half clubs, they've kept 4 clean sheets. So basically, and also obviously Mathieu Debuchy's out now with a dislocated shoulder. Kieran Gibbs and Callum Jabez both doubts through illness. Yeah. They, as obviously the Chesney situation as well in goal. Basically, I don't expect Arsenal to keep.
And Mertesacker keeps his place, despite being a donkey.
And the second reason is Silva's good form against his opposition. He scored in 2 of the last 3 league meetings between the teams, and 3 of the last 6 going further back. And I think it's quite obvious why, because he occupies the pockets of space where Arsenal should have a good holding midfielder, but they never do. It's a classic area where Arsenal always struggle, and Silva operates in exactly the area where...
I think he learned that off Naismith, didn't he?
Well, I mean, everyone learns everything off Stephen Naismith, Paul, absolutely. Also, he's in good scoring form still, with 4 in his last 5 league games. He's really stepped up while Aguero's been away. Obviously, Aguero might start here, but he only played 23 minutes at Everton. I don't expect him to play the full match by any means. With Yaya Toure away, he should take a few free kicks as well. He's a dead ball expert. I think he goes under the radar a bit. So I'm quite happy to back Silva to score any time at a 2 to 1 here, Paul.
But a 2 to 1, still no odds on. Tips from the boys. Is Tom going to break that sequence?
No, I'm not going to bet
the
sequence.
Good man.
Sometimes this is a game where I like to go no bet, but I only like to do that once in a weekend's matches, and I've got that nicely reserved for the Monday night match because it's not too appealing to me. But as Simon said, you can't argue with City at 4 to 5. They've got 83% win ratio under Pellegrini at home. Arsenal struggle against the better sides. I wish I'd keep my notes on when Arsenal play away to big teams, because I could just reel off the same stats, because their away form this season alone is average. 6 wins, 5 losses and 4 draws isn't brilliant. Last season, though, they lost to Chelsea United, Man City, Liverpool and Everton. Not only that, they conceded 21 goals. They lost this game 6-3, lost 6-0 at Chelsea. 1-0 at Man United was their best away result, really, last season against the better sides. Conceded 5 at Liverpool and lost 3-0 at Everton. So -2 would have landed in 4 of those 5 matches. So I'd quite like to have a little go at -1 Asian handicap on Man City here at 69 to 50. You can get 21 to 10 on the normal handicap. The reason I keep the reason I go on the Asian handicap is because you get your money back if Man City only win by 1, but we're expecting them to win the game, so why not back them to win by 2 goals. They won 11 of their last 13 matches, but they've only covered a -1 handicap on 5 occasions, which is why I'd probably keep on the Asian handicap so you can get your money back. But Arsenal just simply aren't particularly great away from home. Man City are pretty good. They've got their better players back now as well, so it's just a punt. But Man City -1 Asian handicap at 69 to 50.
2 Asians for Tom in one video cast. My word. And it isn't even the Chinese New Year. But there you go. We like to look at all the different markets, and there are literally, well, there are over 100 normally by the time kickoff comes around for each of these big games. So keep looking at the markets right up to the game if you're snuggling back on your lazy boy chair with your laptop safely positioned on the arm as well, because you'll be amazed at all the different odds that are available right up to kickoff. Let's go to Goodison Park for Everton versus West Bromwich Albion, 12th versus 14th. 2 teams I think are in false positions. Everton should be higher and West Brom should be lower. Hobbs.
Well, yes, I would agree with you, Paul. I'm not just pandering to you, but yeah, no, you're right. However, well, I think the match betting's about right, Paul. I mean, Everton you'd expect to win most of the time. They're 17 to 20. I'm very, very interested that Tony Pulis has taken over at West Brom because I'm his biggest fan. I absolutely worship at the altar of Tony Pulis.
Do you?
He's a footballing god.
Do you know that there's a church named after Madonna, the great Argentine? Do you think there should be a church named after Tony Pulis?
I would visit that church.
Would you be the high priest of that church?
I would, yes. I think Gareth McCauley and the like would be with me as well. They're probably enjoying working with him as well. But basically, what I'm going to do, Paul, I'm going to go to a market which I don't normally go to, which is the to keep a clean sheet market. And I'm going to take a massive punt here. Because I think it's a really good price on West Brom to keep a clean sheet.
No.
Yes. Which is a best price of 19 to 5. Okay. Now West Brom to win the match, best price is 4 to 1.
Okay.
And with the 19 to 5, you're getting an almost identical price, and you're covering the 0-0 as well, which I think is a nice bet.
Okay.
Basically, this is all because of Tony Pulis. Obviously, they won his first home league game in charge was obviously a 1-0 win, which is what he always does. 2 weeks work on the training ground with the West Brom defence is going to work wonders. And don't forget, West Brom, Alan Irvine's left him a decent defence. They've kept 4 clean sheets in their 10 away league games this season, including at sides like Southampton and Spurs. So this is a side who can defend anyway. And with Pulis in as well, I think they'll be a mean unit. And Everton, I mean, they failed to score in 3 of the last 5 league games. I know they scored a couple at West Ham in the Cup, but in the league they've been really struggling. Romelu Lukaku's not scored a league goal in 7. He's been in and out of the team. I think when he's not firing, you do seem to struggle a little bit for impetus. Obviously, McGeady's suspended as well. I love Stephen Naismith, but more for his work rate than his goals. West Brom actually picked up a 0-0 in this fixture last season with the core of the same players that are playing now. And I found it interesting that Pulis, as Stoke manager, did very well at Goodison Park. His last three visits there, he got a 1-0 win, and he only lost 1-0 on the other 2 visits, so he can keep it low scoring at Goodison. So I think at 19 to 5, I would take a chance and throw some pennies at a West Brom clean sheet.
He is the master tactician against the better sides, or the seemingly better sides against his side. Mr. Pulis, once again, revered by Simon Blueblood Hopper. My word, it'd be very interesting, wouldn't it, to see a dinner date between the 2 of them. Let's go to Tom. Tom, taking this is a match that didn't inspire you betting-wise.
Not particularly, no. I mean, it's just hard to find anything. Obviously, something's got to give here, because Everton have been in pretty poor form, and West Brom's away form pretty poor, so 20 to 23 on Everton, I think a lot of people probably think that's a fine price. Probably a little bit too short based on current form. We've got no league win in 7, but West Brom's away form, as I said, is pretty poor as well, just 2 wins in 11. So it's just hard to find an angle here really and justify why I would be going for it. So I'll just go no bet.
The dream bet for many people, apart from Everton fans, would be Victor Anichebe to score the first goal. And God knows what odds he is to score a hat-trick on his return to Goodison Park. Okay, let's move on to the best bets. The outstanding bet of the series on Saturday, whether it be TV or non-TV. Let's go to Tom first of all. Tom, where are you going?
I'm going non-TV, and I might be the only Villa fan that's positive about this weekend, because I think Liverpool are too short a price going to Villa Park. They were 9 to 10 earlier in the week, which I thought was too short a price. They're now 87 to 100.
Wow.
So the price has got shorter based on not a great deal happening. Villa's starting 11, I think, will be stronger for this Saturday than it was last week. Delph back from suspension, which is big for us.
Will the new guy play?
I think he might play, yeah. Carlos Gil might slip into the team on the right wing.
He's a wide man, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, number 10 / wide man. So,
wide man, okay.
So that might be the end of Andy Weimann for a bit, and certainly the end of Charles Nzobia, hopefully, for a while as well.
Hopefully.
But Nathan Baker's back as well, and he was in really good form earlier in the season. We haven't seen him for a couple of months, which is good, because without him we'd be really struggling on centre backs. Liverpool's away record of late is pretty good. I think they've won something like 5 of the last 6 matches. So that's I'm not knocking them. They're decent away from home, but just a 1-0 win at Sunderland last week. They weren't particularly inspiring there, and a less than 50% win ratio away from home over the course of the season. Villa don't lose by many. They don't score many goals. We tend to either draw 0-0 or lose 1-0. So they could well draw 0-0 here. So I go Villa plus a half in the Asian handicap. I've got an Asian handicap mad this week.
Wow.
27 to 25 because Liverpool are too short.
Another odds against, and it's the best bet for Tom. Now, Hops this season has done some quite extraordinary things on his best bets. He's never once scared of a price. Are we getting a price this week, Si?
Yeah, definitely, Paul. As always, I'm going to a 3 o'clock game. I'm taking on Chelsea for their visit to Wales when they take on Swansea. Chelsea, the selection is to lay Chelsea, who are 1.61 to lay on Betfair, which is a cracking lay price. Swansea just don't lose many games at the Liberty. Since Gary Mont's been in charge, only 5 of 18 home league games have been defeats. Chelsea have only won 1 of their last 5 away league games. They've been in terrible form away from home. They capitulated against Tottenham, of course, very recently. Visits to the North East ended pretty fruitless. Mourinho's away league record since returning is under 50% now. I have no reason to believe Chelsea should be any short than even money at best. And also Swansea have only lost 1 of their 4 home games against Chelsea since they got promoted to the Premier League. They have a good record in this fixture, and I'm more than happy to lay Chelsea at 1.61. Wow!
2 non-TV naps. Sounds pretty good to me at 27 to 25 and laying a 1.61. We'll be back next weekend here on the Premier League videocast. Once again, don't forget to have a look and a listen to PJ and Dunkley as we look forward to the Peter Marsh chase at Haydock Park on Saturday and the Clarence House chase, hopefully featuring Sprinter Sacra. And of course there is the Lounge videocast as well. Have a good weekend.